In this video, I show you how much money I made exactly on Fiverr ads during my 6 years on Fiverr as a top and pro rata seller. And I also give you my honest take on Fiverr ads, if they're worth it and what to look out for. So let's just dive right into it. So Fiverr ads are a way for you on Fiverr to promote your gig in the search rankings by paying money directly to Fiverr. It works pretty much the same way as Google ads, Facebook ads, or any other ads that you know from social media. And so it's a way to be better seen in search results, pay for clicks, and ultimately hopefully get more orders this way. Let me show you an example on Fiverr itself, what this looks like. So I'm here on the Fiverr homepage and we're just going to go into a random category. So let's go into a business website under website development. And here obviously Fiverr shows you some search results, right? They show you some gigs that sellers have created that want to offer WordPress website building or website building in general to you as a service. And so as you can see here on the top, there's this box where Fiverr basically has kind of manually picked some sellers. But then here below, where basically the usual search results start, you'll notice that next to the names of these sellers, there is this small add text, right? And this indicates that this seller has paid money to Fiverr for us to see their search results here in the top of the search results, right? Or at least on page one. So paying for ads doesn't always mean that you always be in the very first row on the first page of search results, but you can be pretty much sure that you're gonna be on the first page. And in order for every seller to get a chance to basically benefit from ads, basically Fiverr rotates through the sellers it shows to potential buyers. And so if you think about it, ads are a really good way on Fiverr to stand out from the crowd, because if we just look at this category, there are 85,000 results, meaning 85,000 gigs are offered to buyers. And obviously it's very hard to stand out from this crowd if you are a rather new seller, right? But if you can basically just pay for the eyeballs of buyers, it makes it a lot easier to get orders going. And so to understand what this actually looks like for you as a buyer, let's dive into my own Fiverr ads dashboard. So I'm here in my Fiverr ads dashboard. I moved the camera up to the left so you can see everything. But this is what it looks like. So first of all, down here you will have every gig that is eligible for running ads for it. And so basically Fiverr doesn't allow you to run ads for every gig. They basically pre-select them. However, in my experience, once you have reached a certain seller level, such as a seller level 2, usually Fiverr just auto-validates your gigs and allows to run basically ads for any gig that you have. The first thing to know, basically you have all the gigs down here, and I can choose to promote them or not promote them by toggling this here on and off. Secondly, what you need to know about Fiverr ads is that only sellers on seller level 1 or above are eligible for Fiverr ads. And if you think about it, this actually kind of makes sense, because Fiverr only wants to promote gigs that have at least proven themselves somewhat. So restricting ads to sellers that are at least seller level 1 means there's at least a certain quality guaranteed to the gigs that they are promoting. And then here on the top of the dashboard, you have an overview of how your ads are actually performing. And if you're not familiar with this yet, basically the terms used here are terms that are used for every online ad platform. You have impressions, clicks, and orders, or on some websites it's conversions, and then you have spend and sales. Now, the number of impressions is simply the number of people that have seen your gig. They haven't taken any action, but if you recall before, when we were on the search results page, basically we counted as one impression for those gigs that ran ads because we saw their gig. So that's one impression. The second metric to look at is clicks, and this is actually super important because the way Fiverr ads work is you only pay for clicks. So only after someone clicked on your gig will Fiverr spend the money that you're spending for your ad campaign, right? So if you have a lot of impressions but no one ever clicks on your gig, you actually won't spend any money on Fiverr ads. And then we have orders, which is obviously the juiciest metric. It's how many of those clicks actually converted into people buying from you. And then you have spend and sales. So spend is the total amount of Fiverr ads of money that you spend on Fiverr ads for a certain period. So for example, here I have selected the current month, so it shows the spending of the current month of Fiverr ads. And then here I have the sales that I've made from these two orders, right? And so you have this neat overview over here for the time frame that you've chosen here. And then basically you have this exact same breakdown down here for every single gig, right? So not only do you have an overview for any given time period about your overall performance, but you can also single out how individual gigs are performing, which is useful if you want to, for example, turn off gigs that don't work at all, or if you just want to find, okay, uh, which one of your gigs is performing really, really well, and therefore what am I doing right with that gig that I might be able to replicate with other gigs. And so let's do an example breakdown of this very month that I have right here, just in terms of are Fiverr ads worth it, right? So as you can see in this current month, I had spent about $32 on ads so far, and I have made sales of $400. Now, keep in mind when Fiverr shows you these sales numbers, it does not deduct the 20% commission that Fiverr takes, meaning that of those $400, actually $320 are going to end up in my pocket because Fiverr is going to take $80 as a commission. And so a good metric to calculate here, which we can do live together, is basically the return on ad spend, which is also a term that's very common among online ad platforms. And basically all you're doing is you want to take the money that you've earned. In our case, it's the $400 minus 20% commission, so it's $320. And then you divide it by the spend that you had, right? So in our case, it's about $32. And in my case, it's exactly a ROAS or return on ad spend of 10, meaning for every dollar that I spend on Fiverr ads, I get $10 back. Now, off the bat, this sounds already pretty good, but to get a real good picture of whether this is good or not is you can look at industry benchmarks in the online advertising space, and the usual benchmark for return on ad spend is between 2 to 4, meaning if you have a return on ad spend between 2 and 4, this is what's to be expected, and that's a good enough performance. Which means with Fiverr ads, if you have a return on ad spend of 10, is actually an insane return, right? Spending $1, getting $10 back for every dollar spent is absolutely insane. As a conclusion right here, Fiverr ads are absolutely worth it, and I have run them basically ever since I got eligible for them. I think actually last month was the first month ever for me where I didn't make money from Fiverr ads, where I basically spent more than I got back. But that's like 1 month out of 6 years that I've used Fiverr ads. And as you can see in the current month, I'm already profitable again. So here is my overall take on Fiverr ads. Fiverr ads are absolutely worth it, but you need to pay attention to a few things to make them really worthwhile for you. First, you should make sure that you are promoting gigs that are already working. So basically what you're doing with Fiverr ads is you're putting fuel on the fire of your Fiverr gigs, which means that if you have a gig that's already running pretty well by itself and already is getting organic orders, running Fiverr ads for that gig will likely be very successful. Because basically, if you have a gig that's running well, this means that when people see your gig, it looks good enough that they click on it. And after if they've clicked on it, it still looks good enough that they place an order or at least reach out to you. And so along that customer journey, with a gig that's already working well, you are doing a lot of things right. And so if you start running Fiverr ads for that gig, you're basically just increasing the amount of people that see your gig, which means this will ultimately lead to more orders because people are clicking on your gig and then they place orders. However, if you have a gig that's not working at all, so you're not getting organic orders, buyers have a bad experience with you, and so on and so forth, ads are not going to fix that problem for you. You basically need to make sure that you optimize your gig first and the customer experience before you're putting fuel on the fire, because without the fire, the fuel doesn't do anything. Next point about Fiverr ads is that you actually need to actively monitor their effectiveness, because not all traffic from Fiverr ads is made equally. And so to show you what I mean, we are here in my Fiverr ad dashboard again. And it just happens so that the last 2 months were a great example of when you have to monitor Fiverr ads and when you actually need to turn down your budget, otherwise you're spending money needlessly. And so if we look here at my current month's performance, yes, I am profitable. As you can see, I spent $32 and got $400 back. However, what's really interesting here is that I have gotten a lot of clicks. I've gotten 563 clicks, but I've only gotten 2 orders. And this is a very bad conversion rate, meaning out of the many people that clicked on my gig, only very few actually ordered from me. And I know for a fact that my gig is not a problem, because usually the conversion rate of my gig is very, very good. And so what this means is that all these clicks that I'm getting here in this month is actually very bad traffic. It's people that probably should not see my gig, that are not actively interested in buying my services, and so all the money I'm spending on these clicks is basically wasted. And also, if you think about it, if you look at this number of clicks and the money I spent, the cost per click is very, very low. So for example, here we can see there's like 2 cents per click, 7 cents, 4 cents, which in general is good for us, but if those clicks never convert, this is actually very low quality traffic for us. And over the years, I've observed that traffic on Fiverr, for whatever reason, can really fluctuate in quality a lot. And so you need to be aware of that and actively monitor those months where the quality of your traffic is low. So what I do in those months instead is I manage my daily budget and actually turn it down very low. In this case, I've turned it down to $5. And actually in the beginning of the month, I even had it at $3. And also, if we look at my last month, so these are the metrics for last month. As you can see, I had 710 clicks, still only 2 orders, and yes, I was profitable again, but I could just see that even if I spend more money on Fiverr ads, I wouldn't necessarily get more sales, right? Because the quality of the traffic was very, very bad. And so as a takeaway for you, if you want to try Fiverr ads and use them effectively, you actually need to check in here every once in a while and see if the traffic you're receiving is actually worth the money that you're spending. Likewise, if you're having a really good month on Fiverr where you're getting lots of quality traffic, you should obviously turn up your daily budget. And with Fiverr ads, you can spend up to $50 per day, which is the maximum. And so to summarize, Fiverr ads are absolutely worth it, but you definitely need to check in on them and see if the traffic you're getting for the specific month is actually worth your money. If not, you should turn down your ad spend. If the traffic is very high quality, actually turn up your ad spend. However, all those Fiverr ads are only going to work for a gig and profile that's already optimized. And while it can be hard to get started, you should definitely join my free Fiverr community for that specific reason, because I show you exactly step by step how to find your niche, set up your first gig, and set up your profile in the right way. It's completely free to join, and you'll find it by clicking the link down below. And finally, as I had promised in the beginning of this video, I'm going to reveal to you how much money I made in total of my lifetime on Fiverr with Fiverr ads. So we're here in my dashboard, and we just have to basically change the time frame from last month to maximum, and Trouble loading. Okay, let's refresh. And here you go. These are my numbers for my time on Fiverr with Fiverr ads. So in total I got 261 orders from Fiverr ads. I spent about 3.6k dollars on Fiverr ads, and I had a return of $32,700. And if you want to basically calculate my all-time return on ad spend, we have to take those $32,700, multiply it by 80%, because this is the money I actually got in my pocket, and then divide it by the money I spent. And so as you can see, my all-time return on ad spend is about 7.2, which is still absolutely fantastic. And so I just leave you with that, with this number right here. I think it's quite impressive how much money I made with Fiverr ads. And so definitely think about trying them out if you're still level 1 or higher. And apart from that, would be really happy to see you inside my free Fiverr community. So far, see you inside there, and I'll see you in the next video.